Hey guys, welcome back to the No Holds Barred Network with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the EVP of Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies herself, Tiffany. And actually, I'm really excited for this podcast because we have Alex from the owner of Invictus today. How are you?
I'm doing just dandy. Thank you for having me, Tiffany.
I'm so excited because I've been hearing so much buzz about your promotion, so I needed to get all behind it with you. So I'm so glad we're gonna get a lot of more people to get behind Invictus today. That's the plan. So we have an upcoming show in Bloom coming up on April 24th, right? Is that the date? 24th?
Yes.
Okay,
Looking forward.
perfect. So I'm looking forward to that. So, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. We do everything independent wrestling where we interview independent wrestlers, referees, promoters, anything independent wrestling related. So if you guys got questions, drop them in the chat. I'm sure Alex will be more than happy to answer them for you. So yeah, I think I got that all covered. So Alex, we've been chatting for a couple of weeks now, and like as I told you, that I've been hearing a lot of buzz, and I'm really cool with your friend who's the champ, Leroy Green. So,
Yes.
and with all his,
Leroy.
I love
Well,
his.
big drip Leroy as he his alter ego that he now sometimes goes by.
I know. I feel like because now I'm seeing the drip name, so I'm starting to think that him and Matt Vertigo need to have a match. I feel like maybe something in the future that'll happen.
Who's
Um,
the drippiest of the drip?
but I love all the photos that I'm seeing him with the belt all over the place. It's such a gorgeous belt. So excited. So yeah, let's get into this interview. Let's learn a little bit about you. What did you grow up watching, and who are some of your favorite wrestlers?
Okay, so I first got into wrestling in the early 2000s, so it would have been, right around the time when WWF became the WWE. So like tail end of the Attitude Era, like into the Ruthless Aggression era, was when I first got into it. I used to love so then yeah, like all throughout, like from the early to mid 2000s, I was watching SmackDown during like the SmackDown 6 era. So I was a real big fan of all those guys. And Really my favorite wrestlers growing up, and I think it sort of reflects as to why I'm so big into the indies now, and like the sort of indie style is I was really big into the cruiserweights growing up. Rey Mysterio is my all-time favorite. Loved watching him as a kid. I would love seeing him, tangle with some of the other cruiserweights who were on the roster at that time. Uh, Guys like Tajiri and Matt Hardy and them, and then also seeing him get in the ring with larger guys too, and seeing how he could work with bigger guys and cut them down to his size. So those are some of my favorites growing up. And then it was probably around like 2005 or 2006 maybe was when I discovered independent wrestling, which was I started going to National Wrestling Superstars, which is a company that's since gone under. But I was going to their shows in like the North Jersey area whenever they'd come to like Ridgefield Park or Bergenfield or any of those towns. I would go. I would have my dad bring me, but I think that sort of like revamped my interest in wrestling. Just going into because I've been to like house shows before at the Garden for WWE, but there was always like that sort of distance,
Right.
whether you're watching it on television or whether you're sitting up in the nosebleeds. There was felt like there was this distance between you and the action, and I remember being like however old I was at the time, 11 or 12 years old, going to a wrestling show, in this Elks Lodge, and there's like 5 rows of chairs,
Yeah.
and having these wrestlers being thrown out of the ring and landing at your feet, and that was really that became like my sort of new love within wrestling was independent wrestling, and that's still persists to this day.
That's funny because it's like everything like you say, it's like that's where I feel like I sit. that I was back then in the days was WWF at the time, and then now we have AEW. But it's just funny with like the independent wrestling, because I didn't even know that existed until like one of my friends who was a referee that was like, "Oh, I'm reffing." They're like, "Come watch me ref," and I was like, "Oh." I was like, I didn't even know this existed, and I started going to all these independent shows. But like, even just the fact that I always talk about this, that being at these shows and being more interactive, even like the interaction with the wrestlers itself being in the ring, like this is what excites me like so much about independent wrestling. So,
Absolutely.
but I just love it. I love it. So, how did you go from that and get involved in the business?
So I always say this a lot in interviews that most kids growing up who grew up fans of wrestling, would dream about becoming a wrestler one day. And I like from an early age, like I never kidded myself. Like I was never going to be a wrestler. I was not an athletic kid. Like I always joke that I have a month of Pee Wee soccer under my belt and that's it. Uh, so I knew that I was never going to be a wrestler, but I was always very interested in like the backstage, like what went into producing wrestling, the booking and the storylines and the more creative side of wrestling. I was always a very creative kid. I loved telling stories and drawing pictures and things like that. So I knew that if I was going to become involved in the wrestling business, like that was something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that the path, if you want to become a wrestler, I won't say that the path is easier, but it's kind of more straightforward. Is there's a process, right?
Right.
You find a school, you train, you and then you sort of network and get bookings from there, and hopefully you make it to the big leagues. If you want to become involved backstage, most of the backstage people who work for WWE and AEW were wrestlers themselves at one point, but bypassing that and sort of going directly into a backstage role is a little bit difficult. So I want to say it was probably around winter 2017, 2018, maybe. I used to go to the Evolve shows every time that they would come to the New York area. So I was on their mailing list, and I got an email one day that was advertising a creative seminar with Gabe Sapolsky, who was the promoter of Evolve, and had previously worked with Ring of Honor and Dragon Gate USA, and now works for NXT as a consultant. But anyway, he was having, it was advertised as like the first seminar of its kind. It was a seminar that was specifically devoted for people that wanted to get involved in the backstage element of wrestling. And I thought, oh, this is perfect for me. So I sent an email basically with my, a little bit about myself, explaining why I wanted the opportunity. I got accepted to it. And the way that the seminar worked was that it was actually backstage at one of the shows. It was a style battle show. I don't know if you're familiar with style battle, but that was sort of like the B promotion to Evolve. Mm-hmm. That ran for like a year. It was like 8 single elimination 8-man tournaments throughout the course of the year. And then the winners of those 8 tournaments would face off in a final tournament on Mania weekend. So it was like a doubleheader. It was at St. Finbar's Church in Brooklyn. And it was like style battle in the afternoon, Evolve in the evening. So the people who had gotten accepted into the creative seminar were there backstage for the style battle show. And I remember that was the first time that I was ever backstage at an independent wrestling show. And I just thought that was, totally blew my mind that I was, sitting there, alongside guys like, Janela and Walter, Keith Lee was there. So all these guys, Nick Gage, and, that was when it was affirmed to me that this is what I want to do. And then I kind of I wasn't really sure where to go from there. The big piece of advice that Gabe gave us on that day was, if you want to break into wrestling, you got to make yourself useful. You got to be willing to work hard, and you got to be willing to, contribute however you can. So I just sort of sat on that advice for a while. I didn't really know what to do with it. I started messaging local promotions in the greater New York area, but I really didn't have much to offer. I wasn't a worker. I wasn't trained to be a wrestler in any way. I said, but I'll do whatever you need me to do, and didn't hear back from a lot of them or any of them really. So then I realized, like, maybe a year later that I still had Gabe Sapolsky's email address. So I decided, what the heck, it's probably a long shot, but maybe he'll remember me. So I emailed him. He responded. He put me in contact with Trevin Adams, who is the ring announcer and commentator, and also like the ambassador for Evolve and its parent company, the World Wrestling Network. He sort of became my mentor. And then from that point on, every time that Evolve came to the New York area, I would help set up the ring. I would do ring crew. I would, meet and network with the wrestlers. I would work the door, getting, scanning tickets, getting the crowd in. And then from once the crowd was in, I would watch the shows from Gorilla. And I had this little gray notebook, and I would take notes on, all the production elements and the booking and all the, stuff that would go into backstage, to, eventually running my own company, which was always sort of the goal. Like I always wanted to be, in charge. And then I had, humored the idea of starting my own promotion for a while. And then when COVID hit and, with the future of Evolve up in the air, and then, it eventually ended up getting bought out by WWE, I figured, if ever there was a time to, take a gamble on myself, this would be it. Right. And the rest, as they say, is history.
It's funny. I remember going to like all the Evolve, I went to a bunch of Evolve shows in Brooklyn. I've been there, and I've been in the Queens building. So a lot of fun, a lot of memories, met a lot of people there as well. It's pretty cool. So, but I also know like the backstage is a lot. I've been backstage to a bunch of promotions, and I see it's really crazy. So I give you a lot of credit. That's why I do these interviews, because I feel like especially you guys are just as important, or even like cameramen or commentary. Everybody's important to independent wrestling because it's as a whole. It's not just the wrestlers that bust their ass, but it's like you guys that give us this platform that we can sit and watch and enjoy. And even someone like me who goes around a whole bunch of different independent promotions, I love learning about new, because a lot of people get signed and they move up, and then I'm always curious of who else is around and names I don't know. And I mean, I got to admit, there's a bunch of names on your roster that I'm not familiar with that I'm really excited to see in person. I will be there on April 24th, guys. Front row. I had to get front row tickets, and I'll be taking lots of footage too. So I'm really excited about that. But so how did you come up with the name Invictus?
So the name Invictus, it's a Latin word, and it means unconquered. I first heard it. It's actually the title of a poem by William Ernest Henley. So that was when I first heard it. But the poem is basically all about, just sort of determination and like, overcoming obstacles and working hard and continuing to fight, despite any challenges that are thrown your way. And, at the time I just sort of picked it because I needed a name and it sounded cool. But after, all the trials and tribulations that we went through as a company in our first year, we were originally supposed to have our first show in June of 2020. And obviously with the pandemic, that didn't happen. So we had to, delay the show. We had to change venues. We had to, rebook talent. There was all this stuff that we, all these hoops basically that we had to jump through. So when the first show actually did happen in September of last year, when the show started, like I came out and I was on the microphone and, thanking the fans for coming. And I said, like I really did pick the right name, didn't I? Because after all this, we can truly sort of say that we're unconquered, that we cannot be conquered. So
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. We have a fan tweet from our friend Anthony from Smart to Death. His question is, what motivated him to start his own promotion, and what's the vision for the post-COVID world with Invictus in it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just for me, like I said, it had always been a childhood sort of dream of mine, and I figured that I think with COVID, when COVID hit, it made me, like a lot of us, sort of rethink, where we were at with our lives, and kind of motivated us to, take a chance on something that maybe we wouldn't have ordinarily, taken a chance on. And for me, that was to try to start my own promotion. And obviously, I knew that it would be difficult, obviously, starting a promotion of running wrestling shows during the pandemic. And I knew that there were a lot of obstacles that were involved in that under normal circumstances wouldn't be a thing. But I also knew that, the fans and the wrestlers alike were really chomping at the bit to, have some semblance of normalcy again. And I think that much was clear, when we had our first shows in the fall, and the fan response, and the wrestlers, I heard great things coming back from it. So really it was just to, my reasoning behind it was just to put on the kind of wrestling that I wanted to see.
Right.
And focus on the elements of wrestling that I enjoyed, that I felt like, were sort of had fallen to the wayside. The big characters and storytelling, and, larger than life personalities that attracted me and made me a fan as a kid, and really creating that sort of that kind of intimate atmosphere that made me fall in love with indie wrestling. That atmosphere where the fans feel like they're a part of the show, and they're part of the community, and they can interact with the talents that are in the ring. And so really it's just my childhood dream come to life. That's the easiest way to describe it.
Awesome. I love it. I have another fan tweet from MGB Graham. So he wasn't really sure, but his first question was, have you ever wrestled in Alabama? So obviously you're new, but you said like you've never.
No.
But have you ever wanted to? Yes. Right.
I've obviously thought about wrestling before. The closest thing that I've ever done to wrestling was, obviously I backyarded in high school. I can't think of any wrestling fan that didn't, but right. But even then I filled in for a kid that didn't show up. Like I was supposed to be just like the announcer, backstage person with the hat. But yeah, that was the closest that I ever came to getting something. I would really like to go down to like some like deep South, like backwoods wrestling show, and just, eat barbecue and drink beers and just like watch just guys that look like they have no business being in a ring, just like
That sounds like a lot of fun though. Well, since he thought that you were a wrestler, and that if you've ever been to Alabama, so I'm gonna go with this and then I'll ask this other question. Do you see yourself in the future, like since you're based out in New Jersey, is there a possibility like maybe travel somewhere?
Yeah, so actually the funny story is, originally we were supposed to be running in New York. I filled out all the paperwork and all the forms because New York is obviously it's one of, if not the most strictly regulated state in terms of wrestling in the country. So there's all this, paperwork. You have to get surety bonds, and you have to provide like a list of references. It's like all this crazy stuff that you have to go through to get licensed in New York. And I did all that, and I got licensed in New York, and then the pandemic hit.
Right.
So, but the reason that I wanted to run in New York, obviously, A, because I'm from there, but B, because, there's sort of less competition there because it's so difficult to, run shows there. So, we've been running in Jersey for the time being because it's deregulated, and that's not to say that we won't, continue running shows in Jersey post-pandemic, but we'd definitely like to come have a bit of a homecoming once, New York State officially reopens for wrestling. That would definitely be fun to do something in New York, and who knows, as the promotion gets bigger, there's lots of places that I'd like to run shows. I think every promoter's dream is to run like at the 2300 arena in Philadelphia.
Of course. Yeah. Oh well, that'll make me happy. I'm in New York too, so that I don't have to pay for the Verrazano Bridge like crazy.
There you go.
I'm tired of driving over the bridge and spending all the money at all the Jersey shows out there. I love you guys so much, and I do it, but it's getting expensive, guys.
I feel that. Imagine bringing a wrestling ring down there. How much that is.
Just put it like before the bridge, pretty much,
Yep.
and then you'll be good. MGB's Graham's second question is: do you follow any college teams?
Do I follow any college teams? I'm assuming that they're talking about March Madness. In that case, no, I don't. I keep tabs on the school that I went to, which is Ithaca College in upstate New York, but they're D3, so nobody really cares about them.
Right.
But yeah, don't really follow any college teams. Sorry.
Matt Awesome said, I'm available for bookings. I think Invictus needs some chancleta in it.
Listen, one of my favorite things about being an indie promoter and just working in the indie scene in general is discovering new talent. So I am 100% open. Our email is on all our socials. Show me what you got.
It's funny because I was going to ask that. One of my questions was, what advice would you give a wrestler that's putting himself out there, and what are you looking for?
Yeah, I get that a lot. Professionalism goes a really long way. And I'm not talking like, totally overly formal, but I could show you like some of the weird, like sketchy messages that I've gotten from, workers who are just like, they'll just like start a conversation with me like, yo, or like, what's up? Like,
oh God,
just don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Just, be straight to the point, but be professional about it. Tell me, what it is that you're, trying to gain from this, and what you can offer me as a promoter. And if the planets align, we'll do business together. As far as what I'm looking for in talent, I'm looking for versatility, flexibility, and I'm looking for talents that really have a strong idea of, what their character is. And because if you're really confident in yourself as a performer, that translates. That translates to me, and that translates to the fans. And then I'm also always looking for, wrestlers who don't rest on their laurels and are constantly, trying to improve and trying to gain new opportunities. I always take, sort of mental notes of the wrestlers who, will come and talk to me after their match and make it a point to, come seek me out and say, did you like the match? Is there anything I could have done differently? I think that's something that you, sadly don't see as much of these days. But, I take notes of that, mental notes of that when it, goes down in my own locker room.
Yeah. Take notes, guys. Is there any kind of like style that you wouldn't book at your promotion, and is there like a particular style that you would also like to book at your promotion that you haven't booked?
I think variety is the spice of life, and nowhere is that more true than professional wrestling. So stylistically, I want it all. Give me your hardcore, your technical, your comedy gimmick stuff, lucha, high flying. Like I want, I want Invictus to cater to as many different stylistic preferences as possible. And the nice thing, about being a new promotion is, when we're booking our shows, we kind of can look through and say like, all right, well, what are things that we haven't done yet? What are styles that we haven't showcases, or types of matches that we haven't done yet? I'm all about gimmick matches. We at our show in November, we had a casket match. So, I love experimenting, and I love, making dream matchups happen, whether those are, the wrestlers' dream matchups or the fans' dream matchups or my own dream matchups. So yeah, we're really just all about making people happy and putting on an entertaining show.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Again, more reason I'm like so excited to come. Like, never mind the fact that like some of my friends have been booked there or are going to be at this show coming up. But I just, there's so many things that like grab me for a promotion. And even like when you start seeing the wrestlers having fun too, I feel like that plays such a massive role as well for promotions that like I like to go to. So sure. I love it. I love it. Has there been a match that you wanted to book, but you hadn't got a chance to book because somebody got signed?
Not because anyone got signed, but there have been, some matches that we've had to change because of circumstances. I mean, we announced the original main event for In Bloom was supposed to be Mike Verna, who would be making his return because he main evented our first show. And it was going to be him. It was supposed to be him against AJ Gray, but he had to pull out again. Completely understandable reason. He'll definitely be back in the future. He's an awesome guy. So we got Ken Broadway instead, which I think is a very fair trade, especially in the New York area. He's big, and it's so funny too because AJ is like he's such like a stoic, chill guy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I told him that I was going to bring in Broadway to work with him, that was like the first time that I got any emotion out of him, like via email. He's just like, "Yo," he's like, "Yes, make that happen." So,
That's exciting. I was excited. I was like, oh, okay. I remember like sharing the tweet. I was like, I see you. I was like, so obviously, like I'm very familiar with Ken Broadway and I'm very familiar with AJ. And it's funny because I haven't met either of them, so maybe we'll get them on the podcast in the future. But the very great wrestler. So I'm actually looking forward to this match. But since we're talking about it, let's break down In Bloom. So we have some photos here for you guys. So since you already brought up Ken Broadway and AJ Gray, I have that here. Here's the promo thumbnail for you guys of everybody who's going to be on it. So again, like I said, I'm familiar with a bunch, and then there's I'm not familiar with a bunch also. So I'm really excited for those guys. But yeah, so like tell me a little bit about this coming up In Bloom.
Yeah, so as of right now, we have there's going to be a total of 8 matches. I believe we have 5 announced as of right now. So I can't actually see the pictures on my end, but yeah, we got the main event, obviously, first off, which is AJ Gray versus Ken Broadway. It's going to be the first time that those two have met in a singles match, to my knowledge, unless they're both booked in the Acid Cup in Tampa for GCW. So I don't know how that tournament's going to play out. They might meet in that tournament.
Right.
We shall see. But even if that does end up happening, it'll still have some implications for the main event of our show, because now they'll be a little bit more familiar with each other. They already are very familiar with each other. They were both really excited for this match. I think it's just going to be great, especially, with Ken Broadway kind of going through this rebirth. I mean, for New York indie fans, he was like the guy back when, House of Glory was running regularly. I remember, going to one of their last shows before they went on hiatus, but it was the Matt Travis Memorial Show, and it was Ken Broadway versus Evander James in the main event of that. And I remember just sitting there watching that match and thinking, like, holy hell, like this could easily be, a WWE match. Like both of these guys just look TV ready. So I'm very excited to, to see him making his, sort of comeback. He's turning heads all across the country. He's been, appearing with GCW. So I'm very excited to have him in. And I think AJ Gray is going to be the perfect opponent to bring out the very best in him. It's going to be a hard hitting match. It's going to be, it's really going to be a banger of a main event.
Man, I love it. I love it. Oh my God. Yeah. So here's some more photos. What we got? We have Leroy versus Killian Mcmurphy. I don't know if I've seen Killian Mcmurphy before.
Yeah. So that's going to be for the social media title. Leroy obviously won that title back, earlier this year. He won our social media championship tournament. So this is going to be his first defense. So when we were looking for, somebody to bring in as his first challenger, we were kind of looking at, who has like a big, social media presence, since it is the social media title. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Killian and his goons, little group of wrestlers from down, the Delaware area, but they've definitely been turning heads and, making quite a name for themselves, during this pandemic and during the lockdown. And they've been producing some very entertaining content. So when I was put in contact with him, I said, I think that would be a great match. And he's going to be bringing in his manager, Big Dust, who's a riot. So I'm very excited to see how that match plays out.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm a big fan of Leroy. We've had Leroy on the Under the Ropes series twice. We had him before he did AEW Dark, and then we had him come back and talk about that experience. So we're just gonna have to get Leroy back on the podcast again.
Leroy, listen, I mean, obviously I'm a bit biased because he is our champion, but Leroy is, to all you fans out there watching, pay attention to Leroy, Big Game Leroy, because he is, when he calls himself the game changer, but he is quite literally changing the game, and his heart and his passion for the business is just so evident just from talking to him for like 5 minutes. And just, that when he, as our champion, he has just done so much. He hasn't even had a title defense yet, and he's already done so much to elevate the belt and elevate us as a new company, because, it was kind of like it was a mutual, risk, as, that we're a new company. We need a standard bearer who's going to be reliable.
Right.
And Leroy, he said himself, he hadn't held a title in about 3 years, I think 4 years. So it was a big step for him as well. And he's been killing it. And he said himself that he's trying to break away from that the switch, gimmicky, like kind of being pigeonholed as more of a gimmick wrestler. And credit to him. I mean, he's been on fire.
Yeah,
he's been having some great matches, and he's been showcasing his versatility as a performer. So we're very proud to have him as our champion, and I can't wait to see what In Bloom and 2021 in general holds in store for him.
Yeah, definitely. I see, like I said earlier, that I see all the photos that he's been taking with the belt in front of everywhere, with the cool backgrounds down in Brooklyn, which is really cool. So very cool. So we have a women's match also. So I'm familiar with all three of these girls. I just had Vanity on a couple of weeks ago, actually, on the network. I still got to get Vicky on, but I'm going to see her this weekend. She's going to be at IWA, and Riley Shepard's amazing as well. So I can only imagine how this match is going to go, because it's three fierce women.
I'm very excited for that one. Vicky made her debut during that social media championship tournament. We did a bonus women's match where she defeated Notorious Mimi. So she's going to be making her return to the company, and it's going to be her first match in Invictus with an actual crowd, which should be fun. And then we got Riley and Vanity, who I'm familiar with through their work with Recombination Wrestling. I got some friends who work with them. So, being familiar with their work there, I was very excited at the possibility to bring them in. So, I'm really excited for this triple threat. It's going to be three very different styles of wrestlers, just going at it and having a good old fight.
It's great. The Climb for Clout. I love the name for this.
That was me. I came up with that.
So we got a ladder match. So for me, I'm familiar with Kenny Copeland and Abs. I've seen Abs in Extreme Serious Wrestling. I've seen him in Camp Leapfrog. So I think that's it. I'm not familiar, I think, with the rest. Maybe I have seen them. I can't. So I'm looking forward to see you guys if you're listening to this podcast. So don't worry, I'll tag you with some footage, because I'm sure I'll be taking a lot when I come. So
absolutely. So Abs is coming back to the company. We did at our show in November, we did a 6-way scramble match with cruiserweights, and it was Leroy, Brother Greatness, Casey Navarro, Smiley, Ray Jazz, and then we had a mystery sixth entrant who turned out to be Abs, who is definitely a cruiserweight. wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And that was the whole, he came out and, everyone had a good laugh. And yeah, he killed it in that match. So, so much so that we're giving him another at bat in this climb for clout. Jason Andrews is also making his return. He wrestled Dennis Morgan in the opening match of that show in November. Real like martial artist style. He's trained in martial arts, so he'll be bringing a real hard hitting edge to that match, which I'm very excited about. Kennedy obviously has been killing it lately, and we want to start mixing it up a little bit with the intergender stuff. I think that's definitely a direction I'd like to head towards in a company. So I saw our matches I saw our match with G Raver, and that was what made me. I'm like, yeah, we need to get her as soon as possible, because any girl who can hang with G Raver,
absolutely.
I need her on board.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else. Yeah, we got Gabriel Skye, who we brought him in to replace Joey Silver, obviously, who had to drop out. But he's been killing it with VXS, Violence and Suffering. He's another, sort of hidden gem in the New York area. So looking forward to, and a really great high flyer too, which obviously you need that in a ladder match. And then we got Mucho Chris Moljo, who is, for Invictus faithful, they're very familiar with Mucho Chris Moljo, #MCM as he calls himself. He's just a dick. There's no, it's the easiest way to describe him. So
you're a dick.
He's just been a thorn in our side since day one. And we posted a video on our YouTube channel of him sort of calling me and harassing me and basically whining and begging to get added to the match. So he's in. And then there's one person that I'm missing, and that is two people that I'm missing. We got Tony Cheney, who is Grimm's Toy Show. He's pretty big name in the YouTube community. So he's been going out guns blazing, getting a lot of hype behind him going into this match, which so I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to it. Obviously, a little bit of an unorthodox sort of route in wrestling that he took as opposed to some of the other competitors. So I think that's definitely going to be a factor going in. And then we got Hale Collins, who a lot of fans. I don't know if you know Northeast Wrestling at all.
Oh yes, I've been to a show.
A lot of since they haven't been having shows with fans during the pandemic, a lot of Northeast Wrestling fans have been sort of watching our shows. So a lot of people were asking us to bring Hale in, for a while, and it didn't work out in the fall. So when we realized that we had a spot open in this ladder match, and Hale Collins, that's sort of like his thing, his ladder matches, I'm like, well, we need to bring in Hale Collins. We need to live in the now. So yeah, seven-way match. It's going to be the first ladder match that we've done. A little nervous, obviously, because there's a lot that can go wrong, but I put the utmost trust in those 7 performers that we have, that they're going to come together and they're going to put on something special. And whoever walks away with that briefcase, the clout case, as we're calling it, the real winner is going to be the fans. That sounds very corny, but
no, absolutely not. So, oh man. Okay. So I'll bring a med kit just in case. I got you guys covered. So, and then the other match, that is the open challenge.
Yes. So Gio Galvano is, he's not our champion. That's not a belt. That's not an Invictus belt. That is a belt from, Global Syndicate Wrestling. It was another new company. So Global Syndicate Wrestling is actually owned by Brandon Ascari, who actually is our videographer. So he was doing videography for us going back to the fall, and then he was a big wrestling fan himself. He decided to start his own promotion. So we've sort of had a pretty close partnership. So Gio is the next gen champion for that company. He won a battle royal at their first taping back in January. I think it was January. Yeah. To become the first champion for that. he actually, you might not like this, but the last person that he eliminated in that battle royal, it was a battle royal, and then the last two competitors had a singles match
Mm-hmm.
to determine the first champion. And the person that he hit with the running knee and pinned for the 1-2-3 was your number one husband, Anthony Gangone.
All right, so now I gotta fight him because like that's just rude. Like,
don't let that dissuade you, because Gio really is. He's, you might not know him now, but you definitely will know about him. He's a great dude. He's a tremendous wrestler, trained at the Team 3D Academy under, Bubba Ray Dudley and Tommy Dreamer. And he's also, and this is just sort of an open thing that a lot of people know, he and I went to high school together. So it's sort of been like we sort of had parallel journeys in wrestling, him actually training to become a wrestler and me doing the whole, backstage production thing. And now we've kind of like our paths have merged once again with him being a regular on our roster. So we wanted to, give him kind of a chance this show, because he worked a tag match at our last show. We wanted to give him kind of an opportunity to sort of showcase his stuff. So we figured, you got a title now, why don't you put it on the line in an open challenge? Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited to see who might answer it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited. Leroy, I see you in the chat. Hi, Leroy.
What's going on, Leroy?
I love it. You got lots of love this podcast. So you said you might actually drop a match that hasn't been announced yet.
I did say that, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Would you care to share with us?
I would, yes. So I can now confirm that in addition to those matches that we have just discussed, one of the other matches that will be taking place on April 24th In Bloom, it's going to be a singles match, and it's going to be between the Danger Hawk Dennis Morgan and the newly reborn Steven Stetson, who some longtime Invictus fans might know previously as Big Cal Stevens. He was one half of the Outdoorsmen. He's got a new look. He's got a new name. He's got a whole new attitude, and he has just been on fire since, sort of rebranding himself. He made appearances on AEW Dark recently. He had a singles match with Orange Cassidy, that just felt like I commented on it when he posted it. Like, that just felt like a fever dream for me watching that, because I'm like, this is not real. Like, just a few months ago, we were like shooting the shit backstage, and now he's in the ring on AEW with Orange Cassidy. But anyway, I'm very excited about this match. I've been talking to them both. It's just going to be like an old school, like Texas, like Dick Murdoch, Buzz Sawyer, like Hoss fight. And yeah, I'm really excited for this one. I think the fans are in for a treat.
Ooh, I love it. I'm excited. Again, like I said, a lot of newbies to me, so I'm really looking forward to this, to add more people to check out and get to see it live. Nothing better than that, to see everything live in person. So, but tell people, like, so are there tickets still available, or, where can everybody watch this?
Yes. So there are still tickets available. Ringside is unfortunately sold out. Ringside in this COVID era has been going pretty quickly because we can't, due to social distancing, have as many as usual, but there are plenty of general admission still left. You can pick those up at Brown Paper Tickets, is our new ticketing partner. Did I give you the link to it?
Yes, everything's in the description below for you guys as well.
You can find that link, on here and also on all of our social media pages. If you cannot be there in person, fear not. The show will be available to stream on HighSpots. We are now partnered with HighSpots Network, which we're very excited about. And that should be up probably within a week of the show going there. So no live stream as of yet, but that's definitely something that we're going to be working on for the future.
Awesome. Definitely, guys, check it out. So I'll be there. So sorry we took the front row.
No
We took.
apologies at all, as long as you're loud. You don't.
Oh, okay. So like now he just like it wouldn't have mattered anyway because I would have did it anyway. So Alex isn't really familiar how I am. So I'm loud. I bring streamers. Are you okay with streamers? Because
I'm
I,
100% okay with streamers.
okay, so I'll be there with streamers. Maybe I'll make signs. Possibly somebody will rip my signs because usually where I go places, people rip my signs. Um, all that fun
Yeah,
stuff.
we're gonna make those young boys earn their keep,
Yes.
cleaning up all those streamers and
There you
sign
go,
shreds.
guys. Sorry, guys. Melissa just wrote in the chat. She goes, "Did he just ask you to be loud?" Melissa knows. I think some people don't want to sit with me because, yeah.
I'm very excited now to see this like turf war, like back and forth type thing between like you and your crowd and like the NEW
Oh,
fans
we're
who
gonna
come down
we're
from like Connecticut.
oh we're gonna have fun.
It's
Like,
gonna be big, yeah, back and forth.
yeah. So I
Back to
apologize.
each other. Very excited about that.
I apologize in advance for whatever I do, guys. So, but you guys know how I am.
Oh,
So,
you guys make the show. You
absolutely, I love
guys are
it.
the reason we're doing it. So you get as loud as your heart
Oh,
desires.
perfect, perfect. It's not really an invitation because it's gonna happen whether it's okay or not. It's funny. We got a fan tweet from Kennedy Copeland. She goes, "I have a question." She goes, "When I climb for clout, can I face Leroy in a street fight?"
I figured that that was a given, that it would be some sort of like street fight because Leroy's doing death matches now. So
Mm.
I would definitely love to see that.
Oh man, let's go. Like, yeah, I saw Leroy's death match over there with Casanova. I see you, Leroy. I see you. So, and Kennedy's another one that I've been like keeping an eye on. So we got to get her on the future too here on Under the Ropes. We could talk about this maybe. So when you win your briefcase over there, we'll get you to come on and you can kind of like show it off and you can talk some smack to Leroy and all that fun stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know. We have another fan tweet from Good Cop, Bad Cop. Just so you know, he loves messing with everybody on the podcast, so be prepared for this question. He says, Alex Accetta, is that how I say your last name? Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay. He said, be an anagram of Ace Act Latex. Who is the best wrestler who wrestles in latex?
I saw that question beforehand. I don't really know how to answer it because I'm not really into that kind of wrestling. But um, I don't know. Didn't Natalia have like latex gear for a while?
Yeah, yeah. She was
That's
trying to be like the cat, I think, with the black
yeah, that
latex.
was cool. Oh no, do you know who I think it is? Remember in like early TNA, there was that tag team that was just like they were like two giant penises. They were the Johnsons. The
Oh
Johnsons they were called, and they
God.
wore like the flesh tone like bodysuits. I'm assuming that those are made of latex, but yeah, that's my answer.
Oh boy.
The Johnsons. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like it. You always keep us on our toes, good cop, bad cop. Just, little shout out to you. Um, so let's see what else. So we got all that. So like what are we gonna see in the future? Like are you planning to run every month, every other month? Like what do we see for the future for Invictus?
Well, with the fingers crossed, knock on wood, it looks like, the vaccine rollout is going smoothly. So I'm hoping that, uh, the COVID situation will continue to improve, especially with the summer, the spring and summer coming, the warm weather coming. Um, so in terms of the future, we do have some things that we're working. We're trying to be adaptable. We're trying to be, open to any sort of changes that come our way. I will say that we did film some stuff last weekend. We did do some taping. I can't really reveal much more than that,
Mhm.
but do know that we do have a little secret project in the works that will be airing in the near future. And you have to follow our social medias for all the latest updates about that. But do know that we are very much active and we are very much looking towards the future. And April 24th is just going to be the beginning.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to meet everybody that I'm not familiar with and all my friends that I'm going to see at the show, guys, like tune in. Again, there's still tickets available, which are very reasonably priced, which is great. The show's at 3 o'clock, right? Doors open at 2. Well, it's outside.
Yes. Yeah, it's a outdoor show, so we're doing afternoon because I'm cheap and I don't like to pay for lighting rigs. So.
Well, you can always get our boy Ray's lighting. He's 16 and he's amazing for if you ever need any lighting going on as well. We'll plug out to him. So he's so good.
One other thing that I can also confirm, we got pyro.
Ooh, I love it. I'm excited. That's it. It's done.
So no budget for lighting, but fuck yes for pyro.
Fuck yeah.
I will gladly open my wallet.
Man, I'm excited. Guys, definitely check it out. Tell everybody where they could follow you if they want to like message you or like all the good stuff.
For sure, yeah. You can follow us on Facebook, Invictus Pro Wrestling. You can follow us on Twitter at Invictus Pro WRE1. I should probably change that to something that rolls off the tongue a little better, but for now, that's what it is. Instagram at Invictus Pro Wrestling. You can find us on YouTube, also Invictus Pro Wrestling. Make sure that you subscribe. Other than that, we're on Pro Wrestling Tees. You can find us on High Spots to watch all our shows, and consider, if you have the means to, supporting us on Patreon. That helps us continue to do cool stuff, and there's a lot of cool perks for you, the fans, if you're interested.
Awesome. All the links, guys, are down below. Go support independent wrestling, as I always say. So, man, thank you for this interview. I'm so glad that we got to break down In Bloom. Again, I'm excited. I'll be there with my friends. We'll be loud, I promise. I'll try not to cause too much havoc.
Not at all.
But definitely excited. A couple of weeks away. So guys, again, go buy some tickets if you can to go show some support. Go give a follow, like new upcoming promotions. So I know I've been telling a lot of people as well. So, but again, thank you for coming on, telling everybody a little bit more about your promotion. So I think that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching our Under the Rope series. I'm your host, as always, the VP Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies, Tiffany. And we'll see you soon. So thanks again, Alex, so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a ton of fun.
Awesome. Bye, guys.